Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton in Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C. And them good old boys down south, I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada, you know we love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave. On a beautiful February 15, 2019, this is Charlton and Big C Sports, and Big C will be calling in shortly from them good old boys down south. I want to just tell you there's so much to be grateful for on this beautiful happy Friday. We love so much going on in the world of sports, and entertainment. And I, as a person of color, I love that we celebrate and pay homage to Black History Month, or we could say African American History Month. At the same time, we have this issue whether we're Black Americans or African Americans, but we call it Black History Month. But people being politically correct, they call it Black History Month. It's the same thing. It's all fair in love and war. A lot of things happening with another great event, I think, set up by the NBA, the All-Star Game, coming to you from Charlotte, North Carolina. So we look forward to seeing a lot of our great athletes and basketball players that are going to be all flying in to the great state of North Carolina and having a good time with all their friends and seeing, who the good basketball players are and the best players that have been chosen to this game. Not necessarily the best. We have Dwayne Wade that's going to be part of the NBA All-Star Game because he's paid a homage to the league and done a lot for a lot of players. Also the great Dirk Nowitzki, two of the greatest players and ambassadors of the sport. I'm honored to be a part of the NBA All-Star Game. This segment is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. I know All-Star Celebrity Game, we have that, and it just shows how Hollywood, it crosses over into the world of sports broadcasting. And the fact that we love it so much, you can have entertainers sit down with athletes and they all talk about who's the best player at what, or they'll tell jokes. They'll get together and decide who's really better at what they do, what their craft is. I love when I see entertainers. They had Chris Tucker sit down with a crew of TNT, and that was just last night. They even had the laugh track they set in that we also do here on Big C Sports. I thought it was great. First met Chris Tucker over at the Candlestick Park. Back in the day, he was in 49 in the locker room, and they were just finished playing a playoff game, and he was there. And never forget that. As a comedian, I just saw how comedians and entertainers, they spend a lot of time around athletes. They're both competitive. They both love what they do. It's just a matter of how they blend it in together. And I just want to say that so much happens in this great business of ours. And I know there's some things I'll talk about when Big C gets on the line, but I just want to start as far as African American. We can think about the civil rights movement and how it applies to this day. And sometimes people think, well, what does it really have to do with today? Well, civil rights happened about 50 years ago. And the fact that so many people benefit from today, the marches that took place, 50 years ago, the great Dr. King, there were so many people that have put their hat in the ring to create civil rights for everybody. And I'm just honored that as an African American, I see doors that have opened up for me because people who came before me, they made it possible. The fact that they made it possible, we have this opportunity here today, and I love that so much. I know this thing with Kaepernick that happened. Even my son was asking me about the Kaepernick situation because there's a settlement that happened with the NFL, and no one knows, how much that settlement is. I mean, it could be, as far as buying his silence, could it be $100 million? Think about it. A man that was not allowed the chance to play, the league, colluded against him, and they know it. So the NFL, there's two ways to look at it. The NFL benefited by having this go away, making it hush-hush. The bad part about that is they could have just let the man play and decided not to ostracize him from the game. He really stood up for their players. He stood up for all people, liberty and justice for all. That was what the great Colin Kaepernick did. So how does the NFL benefit by settling with this guy. The way they benefit is because now the owners and the GMs that did not hire him, that colluded against him, they don't have to take the stand. Now, whatever they did is like being in Las Vegas. Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, allegedly. And now the owners that all conspired against the great Colin Kaepernick, they don't have to come forward and say what they did. So that benefits the league because we all know what happened. Now, what I don't agree with, there are a lot of knuckleheads that say, oh, he's a sellout. Colin Kaepernick. He's not a sellout. How's a man a sellout if he fought for liberty and justice for everybody? If he lost his career over doing what's right, there's never been a day in this history where people did not have something on the line. They always have to put something on the line. And I think I was talking to a former football player that played for the 49ers back in the day, and he's actually been on one of my shows that I did back in a couple years ago, and he played with Joe Montana and also, Steve Young. And we were talking about the Colin Kaepernick thing. This is about 2.5 years ago when it happened, taking a knee to bring attention to social injustice so people could have liberty and justice for everybody. And mainstream media turned against him even though he was advocating for their children and for their wives. He advocated for everybody. But because the league put a black face on it, our media did, they always have anathema for black men who stand up for black people. And we've seen that time and time again. But I was telling my friend that played for the 49ers, has 2 Super Bowl rings, and he was saying, Charlton, I think Kaepernick made a mistake. He's going to cost himself so much money. He could have just gone about it a different way. And I said, well, he did it the best way he knew how. But why would he even have to do that? Is the question I was asking this friend of mine. And we both agreed that there's some things that happen in life. He happens to be a white guy. I'm an African American. And we both agreed that society has some issues that some of us don't want to talk about anymore. We just think it's best if we just let it go hush-hush, and that way people don't get their feelings hurt. And I think, on the other hand, I think the more we talk about things, the better off we benefit from it. So when I said Kaepernick did the right thing, he had to do what was right for him. Here's a man who gave $1 million to charities and helped people who couldn't eat, helped to get programs started so people could learn to read and write better, get educated for work and entering the workforce. He worked with the clergy to help get just things that people needed, food for foreign countries. He did a lot of humanitarian things. No, he didn't hate this country. He loved this country. So how is that such anathema for him? I even hear people saying today, well, he had a losing record when he was with the 49ers. The 49ers had a losing record. Okay, they continue to have a losing record since Jim Harbaugh left. You can't blame that on Colin Kaepernick. They had a losing record this year. You can't blame that on Colin Kaepernick. They've been losing a long time. So even people who grandstand and say, well, he wasn't good enough to be a starter, that's garbage. There are guys who can't even throw touchdown passes in a game, have thrown 5 interceptions in 1 quarter, and they still have jobs in the NFL. So no one can knock Colin Kaepernick and say that he didn't have what he needed in order to be successful. So I appreciate the fact that not only did he come out and the league decided to settle against him, they settled for those reasons. Number one, to keep their sacred cows quiet. Elway doesn't have to come out and testify. No one from the Giants organization, the Mara family, anyone, no one has to come. The Bulky family from the 49ers, they don't have to come out and testify. Everyone who colluded against him, they're protected now. Because if it had gone to trial, they would have had to open up their books. They would have been cross-examined. And most likely it would have been a big thing for media. It also saves Roger Goodell. Because Roger Goodell was going to be between the crosshairs. Do you stand up for a person who stands up for equality for your league? Or do you help keep him out of work? Now, Kareem Hunt was seen on tape slapping and kicking a woman. And he was out of a job for less than a season. But the Cleveland Browns gave him a job, and the NFL didn't fight it. And no one said that he's anti-woman because he apologized and he repented, but we still saw him hitting the woman. The fact that she was also a Caucasian woman, that's even a bigger stick or a slap against them in the criminal justice system. So how's Kareem Hunt get a job He lost the job because it came out on tape, not because he confessed up to it. But he's able to get employment again. There's no backlash. POTUS is not saying, fire the SOB. Everybody says, well, let's forgive him. We all believe in second chances. But Colin Kaepernick was just trying to stand up against women who were getting beaten up, like the woman that Kareem Hunt beat up. Cap can't get a job. Kareem Hunt gets hired. Big C, I know we're getting you on the line, but just so many things happening in the sports universe. And one of the biggest topics today, even my wife was saying, you got to talk about the Kaepernick and how the NFL has decided to settle so they don't have to air their dirty laundry. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, there's a whole lot to this Cap saga when you think about it. He was released back in 2017. He filed a lawsuit in October of 2017, thwarting collusion between NFL owners to keep him out of the league. There's many factors, Charlton, that came up to today's decision that the league decided to settle its lawsuit. Now, this is only the second time in 3 years that the league has settled a lawsuit, Charlton, against individuals who were suing someone from the league so that the league would not have to do disclosure, Charlton.
Yep.
But when you look at the layers of what happened with Colin Kaepernick today, go back to the beginning of the season, Charlton, when the San Francisco 49ers released Reuben Foster.
Yeah.
And he was soon to be signed by the Washington Redskins, Charlton, who said that they did their due diligence with former players from Alabama who vouched for the man.
Yeah.
I guess they were standing there while the beating was going on.
Yep,
so
I guess so.
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
Then with Kareem Hunt, Ken Dorsey signs Kareem Hunt. He drafted Kareem Hunt while he was a GM in Kansas City. He moved to Cleveland, became the GM, so he signed Kareem Hunt. Even after the video exposed Kareem Hunt, Charlton,
Yeah.
for doing what Ray Rice had done, Charlton,
Yeah.
striking a woman at an elevator.
Yeah.
Now, the league is sitting here saying, okay, we've signed these guys. We will accept criminal activity from players.
Yeah.
Greg Hardy, who was convicted by a judge a few years back, Charlton, the Dallas Cowboys signed him.
Yeah.
Jerry Jones said, I don't mind having a guy who beats up a woman as long as he can knock down a quarterback.
Yep.
We saw Ezekiel Elliott suspended by the league, Charlton. Egregious behavior. Jerry Jones fought the league. Eventually had to pay a settlement to the league, Charlton.
Yeah.
Elliott got his game suspension still implemented. We've seen this many times from the league, Charlton.
Josh
That
Brown.
the league, even though football is violent, is that it will accept violence.
Yeah.
It will accept violence towards men. It will accept violence towards women,
Yep.
especially towards women.
Yeah.
As long as a guy can run, catch passes, tackle, Charlton, the league will accept that.
Yeah.
What came about today with the Colin Kaepernick scenario and Eric Reid, Charlton, is that the league felt that it was very important to protect their entity, Charlton.
Yep.
Now, this occurred back with the Benson family when the Benson family was suing the late Thomas Benson, the owner of the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah.
Other than disclose league financial revenues and how this league operates, how this league is basically a mafia organization, Charlton, when you look at it. As LeBron describes it, institutionalized slavery.
Yeah.
That they don't want America to know that they are a 501c3.
Yep.
C3. They are a non-profit organization. So all of you fans out there sitting there talking about the owners losing revenue and attendance are down, they pay no taxes, okay? Let's get that off the table right off the bat.
Yeah.
They don't pay any taxes. They don't want the American public to know how much money they make and avoid paying taxes on it, Charlton.
Amen to
The
that.
NFL
Big
can
C.
always talk about what they do within a community, the donations that they give, the things that they sponsor, Charlton.
Yep.
They're not paying any taxes, so it makes it real easy.
Yeah.
And they get a write-off for even the stuff that they don't pay taxes on, Charlton,
Yep.
by doing their donations. So the NFL looked at it today. What does your cousin get in Minnesota, Charlton? $84 million
84 is not my
guaranteed.
cousin, though.
Okay? The league did a settlement today with Colin Kaepernick where they're going to pay Colin Kaepernick between $80 and $100 million, Charlton.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to pay. That's the going rate for a franchise quarterback, Charlton, which he was a franchise quarterback.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at this $100 million, Charlton, there was a settlement that was done last year by the Players Association that was led by the Eagles safety, lose me at the moment.
Yeah, I understand.
It's the president of the players, Malcolm Jenkins.
Malcolm Jenkins, yeah.
Well, they gave the Players Association somewhere between $79 and $90 million, Charlton,
Yeah.
to say, okay, guys, we're going to give you this money, but we want you to stand for the national anthem.
Yeah.
And that was implemented. They
Yep.
paid these players, Charlton, to stand for the national anthem. We'll donate it to whatever charity that you want, whatever community organizations you want us to put the money in.
Yeah.
So the league agreed today to drop between $80 and $100 million to Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Now, you pony that up, Charlton, between, 32 teams in the NFL?
Yeah.
So you're costing all of the owners, Charlton, in the NFL basically $3 million,
Yeah.
$3.2 million each.
Yep.
A mid-level salary.
Chump change.
All the owners in the NFL pony up a mid-level salary for Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
That's all it is. This is not big money when it comes to the totality of the NFL. But the NFL, it wasn't that they wanted to admit guilt, Charlton, because they know that they're guilty. Collusion, the minute more than one person knows something, Charlton, that's collusion.
Yeah.
Okay? So you're going to tell me that these 32 owners, none of them talked about what was going on. And there's been a lot of talk in public radio saying, well, he can't prove it. Owners couldn't prove that it wasn't.
That's true.
But he could prove, Charlton, that there was collusion, because you will hire a woman beater in a heartbeat.
Yep.
A guy with a criminal record, a criminal past. The little receiver, Tyreek Hill,
Yeah.
in Kansas City, has that same pass that Kareem Hunt had, Charlton.
Yeah.
Just wasn't on tape. It happened in college, and there's actually video evidence of that.
Yeah.
The Kansas City Chiefs keeps him around.
Yeah.
There's dozens of players, Charlton. The Mara family, you talked about the kicker, Brown.
Josh
He
Brown.
used to beat up his wife when he was employed by the Mara family.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I mean, these issues occur all the time. Antonio Brown just had one a couple of weeks ago with his daughter's mother down in Florida.
Yeah.
So when we talk about these issues, the NFL is never concerned about the criminal activity of a player. That's not what they're concerned about, y'all. They are concerned about making public exposure of this good old boys club that is the elitist of all the elitists in the professional sports.
Yeah.
Now you think about, there was talk yesterday about saying Adam Silver had been approached by some owners.
Yep.
Okay, now what has Adam Silver done to owners, Charlton,
Yeah.
in the NBA?
Yep.
He's made them sell franchises.
Yeah.
Okay? So why would NFL owners entertain bringing Adam Silver in,
Yeah.
who is a no BS commissioner, Charlton?
Yep.
You say, you guys don't want me in your house because I bring in a vacuum cleaner. So
Yeah.
this
He'll
is
clean the
the
swamp, is that
scenario
what you're
that you're
saying?
looking at with Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
This is going to, and think about the timing of it, Charlton.
Yeah.
Okay? They did this just like the president will do something going into the weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, so it kills mainstream talk.
Yeah.
What's the biggest thing going on this weekend, Charlton, when you think about it?
NBA.
Two things.
Yeah. NBA.
You got the NBA All-Star Game,
Yep.
and you got the Daytona 500, the biggest NASCAR race of the year.
Yeah.
So what does that do, Charlton? It silenced the white critics,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
With the NASCAR race. Let's do it during the Daytona 500. That's like their New Year's,
Yeah.
okay? They'll all be paying attention to that on Sunday. Well, what is the rest of the sports world watching, Charlton?
NBA,
The
baby.
NBA All-Star Game.
Yeah.
Why is Anthony Davis playing and he wants to play and he's supposed to have a shoulder injury?
Yeah.
Why doesn't the trade take place? People will still be talking about Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
So let's ease this through in a hard sports cycle, Charlton.
Yep.
That you got two major events going on that captivate America at this time of the year.
Yeah.
NASCAR for the white guys, the NBA for the black guys, and the mix.
Well,
Okay.
what's Rush Limbaugh going to do, Big C? You left him out. What's he going to do, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, this really, you think about it. This silences Sean Hannity
Yeah.
and Rush Limbaugh over the weekend.
Yeah.
And Laura Coulter, Charlton.
Yeah.
And Coulter, rather.
And Coulter.
They can't come in and talk because they don't work on the weekend.
Yeah.
So this Colin Kaepernick thing will go over, Charlton.
Yeah.
This won't hit major news cycles.
Right.
When you look at everything, Charlton, they can't take away from the NBA All-Star talk.
Right.
Why? Because ESPN is in partnership with the NBA.
Yeah.
They can't focus all on Colin Kaepernick Look at all of what they're covering this weekend with the NBA. They got the up-and-coming event tonight, Charlton.
Yep.
You got the slam dunk contest and the three-point shootout on Saturday. You got the All-Star game on Sunday. So you got 3 days of the best basketball players in the world being together.
Yeah.
So that's going to be your major mainstream talk, Charlton. Then, like I said, you got NASCAR on Sunday.
Yep.
So by the time it comes to Monday, Charlton, and all the talking heads are trying to figure out what just happened with Colin Kaepernick, that he took the NFL to task. And it's twofold, Charlton.
Yeah.
You know, Colin Kaepernick could have proceeded on with the lawsuit.
Yep.
Where they would have been in front of an arbitrator.
Right.
And things would have been exposed. And that's going to be the talk. They're going to say, well, why did he take the easy way out, Charlton? $100 million is not an easy way out.
I'll take it.
It's just not. You know, I don't know how much they make broadcasting.
Yeah.
But $100 million is not an easy way out.
Yep.
They could have, and they all going to say, well, he could have took the NFL to arbitration, and he could have exposed them for what they are.
For what? Yeah.
But he did expose them for what they are, Charlton.
Yeah.
Any dummy that wants to make that statement does not recognize the $100 million that he got, Charlton.
Yeah, they're too busy watching a lot of.
You don't give somebody $100 million, Charlton, because you just like them.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
You know, we like Colin Kaepernick. We haven't let him get a job for the last 2 years. We just give him $100 million because he's a good old boy.
Yeah.
Think about how many NFL players have been cut, Charlton, over the last 2 years. And all combined, they didn't make $100 million.
Yeah.
Colin Kaepernick was intentionally kept out of the league through collusion. But the NFL owners lost their stance 100%, Charlton, when they signed Reuben Foster and Kareem Hunt. That left them with no out, Charlton, because now all of a sudden, an arbitrator said, okay, you're willing to hire a guy who is committing criminal acts that is on video.
Yep.
You have police reports. This man has done nothing.
Nothing at all.
And you're saying that he doesn't want to play football? He doesn't even get an offer. He is not. Colin Kaepernick, in the 2 years, Charlton, since he's been released by the 49ers, has had not one offer put on the table from any NFL team.
No.
But yet there's been 78 quarterbacks signed by the NFL during that time, Charlton. 78.
Yep. That's amazing. Also, because we're real sports talk, and you can Google everything we say, so there's no slander, there's no collusion. There's a quarterback that plays in the NFL that was brought up on assault charges twice, has a Super Bowl championship. In fact, played in several Super Bowls. Still playing today, Big C, making $100 million contract. And he never has Colin Kaepernick been accused of a sexual assault and taken to trial. Okay?
Well, think about this, Charlton. This guy was not even suspended by the league on both of those cases. And both of those occurred in an 11-month span.
Yeah.
And he settled out of court. And think about this, Charlton. He settled out of court with these 2 women.
Yeah.
One incident happened in Lake Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe.
The other incident happened in Atlanta.
Yeah.
In an 11-month span. He did out-of-court settlements, Charlton, with both of these women. He paid them off. Just like the NFL paid off Colin Kaepernick, this quarterback, Charlton, who allegedly assaulted these 2 women, he paid them off, Charlton. Why would he give these women money, Charlton, millions of dollars, if nothing went wrong? And he was totally innocent. And you know, and the biggest part, Charlton, the league never suspended him.
Nope.
He played without suspension, Charlton.
Yeah, without suspension. Now, I want to ask you women, especially this, it's an issue, Big C, and it's hard to put your fingers on it, but we know what it is. Colin Kaepernick, as an African-American, even politicians have used, well as Willie Horton, under the great Ronald Reagan, they used that to scare white voters into voting for them. We're going to lock these black guys up. That's what POTUS is doing. We're going to build a wall to lock these people up. And even today, as he made that announcement, we'll talk more about that, how he's going to help fund this wall with what the Democrats are ready to give him anyway. It's not like he twisted their arm. And he's going to use an executive order. And he brought in people who tragically had lost family members. but he neglected to use the family members
But
who lost
Charlton,
people.
think about this. The president brought in family members of people they said that were, killed by illegal aliens.
Yeah.
Did he bring in the family members of those people that were killed today in Chicago, Charlton, by a white man?
No.
In a mass shooting in Chicago, 40 miles outside of Chicago.
Nope.
Then a white guy goes in today, Charlton, and we know at least one person died. 4 police officers who were shot and injured, Charlton, as well as multiple other shootings.
Wow.
Did the president bring that up to his press conference today, Charlton? That wasn't an illegal alien, Charlton, coming across the southern border.
No.
That was a disgruntled white male. Once again, we had a shooting in Baltimore last week, Charlton, by a disgruntled white male. Today we have a mass shooting right outside of Chicago, Charlton, by another disgruntled white male. It's amazing that the president will never tell you that white people are killing people by the dozens. But he will blame one killing from an illegal alien, Charlton, and not only Hispanic illegal aliens, Charlton, that will come into America. He doesn't point out the Asians.
Yeah.
He doesn't point out the East Indians, Charlton. He doesn't point out the Germans. He doesn't point out the Russians. He doesn't point out the Jewish.
Yep.
He doesn't point out the Israelis, Charlton. All cultures that have come into America, Charlton, illegally have committed crimes.
Yeah.
They have. They
Yep.
still commit crimes today. Will he point those out? No, because he wants to say, if I build this wall, and America needs to understand, the only reason he wants this wall built is that after his presidency is gone, is that everybody will associate this wall with him.
Yeah.
Charlton, the wall is already down there.
Yeah.
And so what he's going to go tear down the wall is there? Oh, we only going to put up the one that says Trump on it? Let me take my Sharpie and sign it. Trump wall.
Yeah, he wants to sign that. And I just think about Stoneman Douglas. Those families, they must feel really pushed aside because it was after those kids were murdered, 17 of them down in Florida, Stoneman Douglas. Then they were saying, POTUS came out and said he's going to crack down on gun control. Going to sign a gun control bill. He hasn't signed anything. He took $30 million. The $30 million is about 1/3 of what Colin Kaepernick got in his settlement. POTUS didn't do anything. So those
but Colin Kaepernick didn't sit there and say, I'll take this money because some kids got killed, Charlton.
Exactly. So
okay, POTUS took the money, and people need to understand that about the president, Charlton.
Yeah.
Is that he lied to the American public, and he's lied to them ever since he's been in office.
Yeah.
But when you sit there and you sit in front of these grieving kids and these grieving parents, Charlton, and said, I'm going to make it my mission to initiate gun control.
Yep.
I'm the president of the United States. He never said the buck stops here, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because the buck stops in his pocket. That's where it stopped.
It stopped. It stopped there.
When the NRA said, no, you're not going to do anything. You go out and make your little public speech.
Yeah.
Then go sit back on your little stool, okay? We control this.
They control
because
it.
Those families are still grieving, Charlton. They have to just go through a Valentine's Day without their loved ones, Charlton.
Yeah.
And the president has had no reconsideration, Charlton, of addressing gun laws in this country. Why, Charlton? Because those are young kids who die.
Yeah.
Not the old rich white men. Let them go through and kill a bunch of old rich white men, Charlton. See what the outcry in America would be then. We would have gun lobbyists, Charlton, going out there and say, hey, this is wrong. We got to change it.
Well, I
go
wonder...
through and kill, half of the richest 1% in America, Charlton. See what happens. I'm not advocating gun violence.
No.
But as long as you're killing somebody's kids, no one cares.
Yep.
Especially from a political arena. Mitch McConnell would never let a bill like that hit the floor.
No.
His buddy, he's only trying to survive as a politician. He doesn't care whether your family's healthy or your kids are deceased because of senseless gun violence by a disgruntled white male. He said, our thoughts and prayers are with you.
Yeah.
No, you want your family members with you, Charlton, not somebody's thoughts and prayers. And I wish these politicians would wake up. Read the Second Amendment. Read it what it says. The right to bear arms is against tyranny and oppression. That's what the right to bear arms is, not to shoot American citizens on the street or while they're sitting in a classroom, Charlton.
Yep, and even when you think about the parents who also lost their children to American violence, there was no talk of them because the guy who did that was Caucasian. And there was no talk about the church down in the South that had 9 members murdered.
North Carolina, 9 church members during worship.
Yeah.
Oh, your little white boy goes in and shoots him up, Charlton. And the police take him to Burger King because he was hungry.
Yeah.
He just murdered 9 people and shot 7 others. and he wanted to go to Burger King because he wanted something to eat.
And they
so
took
those
him.
white police officers accommodated him, Charles.
Yeah, they accommodated and didn't do nothing. So for anyone who's ever lost anyone, it's a tragedy, and you hope that the POTUS would also acknowledge you. And I hope that people are smart enough to see that, especially those parents who were sitting there in the front row to grandstand for him. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And every athletic and sporting event, you need athletic and event insurance. We work with Ben and Mark. They've been around half a century. They work with Big C Sports, whether you're a pro team, a collegiate team, your high school team, or your mom and pop soccer league. When you reach out to them, let them know Big C sent you. I also want to say, in honor of Black History Month, yesterday is Valentine's Day. Make sure you stay healthy, stay in shape out of all that sweet that we ate yesterday. But I want to be mindful. Today is the 15th day of February. Keep in mind that the first Black 5-star admiral, female woman, Michelle Howard, served in the United States Navy 1982 to 2017. She was the first African-American woman to command the U.S. naval ship, the U.S. Rushmore, the first to receive 2 and 3 stars in 2006. She was selected for admiral, and she was the first admiral selected for the U.S. Naval Academy class of 1982. African-American woman. When we talk about funding the military, as POTUS was saying today, keep in mind that a lot of African-Americans have fought for this country since the civil rights. And we're just now getting, in the last, 30 years, that African-American women have been acknowledged for their service to this country. So I just apologize for people who were not even mentioned today, but we were getting this announcement about building a wall. The families who lost people to American violence, they were ignored. And I know that hurts, but I just want to say our thoughts and prayers are truly with you. One more thing I'll say about POTUS before we get into some more things about, Kaepernick and the All-Star break. I want to just say it kind of broke my heart today, but I'm not naive. But when POTUS declared a national emergency over the border wall, he says that China, of all countries, okay, he said that China, with their human rights issues and about 80% of their population is poor, he said China uses the death penalty for drug dealers. That would indict half of white Americans, pejoratively, because if drugs are brought into this country, and the country is predominantly white, who's the user of the drug? Are you going to indict all the people that are using it and selling it? And even POTUS himself, he said he partied a lot back in the day and bragged about what type of things he put up in his nose, Big C. So would he call for the death penalty on himself? I just think people got to stop clapping for that garbage, and you make fun of people who are going through rehab by saying we're going to murder the people who sell the stuff to them. Well, sometimes a lot of those people look like mainstream. You're going to murder them too? I think that's a horrible message to send, that we want to use what China does, which is draconian, as opposed to people having their civil liberties protected. Big C, your thoughts?
So, Charlton, when we have these pharmaceutical companies putting out opioids, you're going to murder all the executives? You're going to take them and give them the death penalty? Because those are the biggest drug pushers in America. Now, you can talk about any marijuana. America grows more marijuana, Charlton, than Mexico does.
Yeah.
You don't have to have marijuana shipped over to Mexico. Look at the number of states that it's legal in, Charlton. You can get it. And you're going to tell me they don't export it out of these U.S. states that grow legal marijuana, Charlton? You don't have to go through a port of entry. Just load it on a truck, Charlton, and drive it across the state line.
Yeah.
So I think that the dumbness of his base, and I'm serious about that, Charlton, that you sit up and you listen to the lies that he can tell you, that all these shipments of marijuana are coming across the border, Charlton. There's a meth lab, Charlton, in every city in America.
Yeah.
There's a meth lab in every city of America. Methamphetamine is not coming across the border, Charlton.
No.
Get yourself some alkaline batteries and baking soda and whatever else they put in it, and make it methamphetamine. Sell it, Charlton. When we think about OxyContin, one of the biggest drugs that come from pharmaceutical companies in America, one of the most addictive and powerful opioids, Charlton, that's produced and sold in America on the street. That's not coming across the border. Now, you can toss in a little fentanyl here and there, Charlton. The fentanyl that comes across the border, Charlton, in no way equals the OxyContin that's sold.
No.
They got pill pushers in America, fake doctors and fake pharmacists that you just write a prescription, go in and pay for it, and get what you want. So I think the people that he sings to, Charlton, are uneducated about what's going on. If he says
I won't say they're all
here's a
uneducated. They're not all uneducated, Big C. We know a lot of these pharmacies and the people who push for that.
I'm talking about his base, Charlton.
Yeah.
This believing the swan song that he's giving them.
McConnell's is base. He's
all of a
educated
sudden,
too.
drugs became an issue when he became president, Charlton.
Yeah.
He's been in New York living in a penthouse. He doesn't walk on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what's going on. He's never gone and embraced somebody who's had an addiction, Charlton. He said, keep that sick person away from me. That's all he's going to say.
You know,
don't bring that around me.
The thing that
he doesn't know the pain that families have suffered in America, Charlton.
Yeah.
He has his staff find somebody who's had a family lost and bring them and put them out there as a sideshow, Charlton, whenever he's speaking.
Yeah.
He don't even know the people's name. He has to read a piece of paper to see what their name is, Charlton. And half the time can't pronounce it right.
Well, the thing that...
But, you know, when I look at when he was there with the children last year and the parents, Charlton, from Stoneman Douglas in the White House, he had to have a little notepad that the camera just caught.
Yeah.
Because he didn't know what to say to them. So he had to look at his talking points. He had no empathy, Charlton, towards those families, those people, real Americans, Charlton, that were suffering at the hands of a white American who walked in there. Show me one illegal alien, Charlton, that has gone in and shot up a school. We had 338 of them in 2018 in America.
Wow.
Show me one illegal alien that came across the southern border, Charlton, and that went in and shot up a school. Let the president do that. Let his base understand that, Charlton. Because I guarantee you, those people, Charlton, that were in those schools that had their schools shot up were not believing the dog whistle that he was throwing, that we had a threat from a southern border, Charlton. He does not address those families, Charlton.
Yeah.
Because those families will call him out. You will never see the president or his staff inviting those people to the White House again, Charlton. After Stoneman Douglas, when those people showed America that he was callous, that he had no empathy, that he did not understand what Americans go through, Charlton. You know, the president never addressed the issue of Las Vegas. Think about that. That went over his head. We had Americans killed in Las Vegas, Charlton. Over 800 shot. The president wouldn't address that. The NRA told him not to touch it, and he did not touch it. So if you think that we're being, you know, hard on the president, ask yourself, what matters? Americans getting killed by Americans? And no death is right. It's not right to take a life. I don't care what nationality you are.
Right.
Whether you're coming across that southern border, Charlton, and done it, but especially if you're born here in America. That's the most atrocious of all of these homicides, Charlton, is that you're born here in America and you feel you have an inalienable right because you're white to go out and snuff out somebody else's life, Charlton.
And I just see a pattern talking about civil rights and how we have so many opportunities in this country, but still every politician uses people of color when they want to get their vote across or their point across. And it used to be black Americans, and now the new discriminatory group is the Mexican Americans. And I just don't like seeing that. I like to call it out when I see it. And so hopefully more people can just vote against politicians who push that dog whistle. It's been going on for years, Big C. I know we have this All-Star game coming up, and the NBA, they have so many great events to showcase their talent and how great this league has become. It's always been a great league, but there was a time, I recall back in the 70s, I would watch the NBA Finals at midnight. They would be like late after all the news programs went up, then you could see it on certain programs. Now you have an All-Star game. The festivities started today, even though we'll have more activities, tomorrow. And then, of course, the game on Sunday. That's how great the NBA has become. It's a whole day event, a lot like the Super Bowl. And I want to get your thoughts on, in fact, I know it's the right thing. You have a commissioner in Silva who stands by his players, not in front, not behind, but by them. And he said something that's so poignant that I thought was so prescient. He said, I'm just passing through like a lot of other players have passed through this league. And he wants to protect it. Big C, that's a very forward way of looking at people. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the NBA is a partnership with its players. The NFL could never adapt that philosophy, Charlton, of being in a partnership with the workers. But when you look at the NBA, Charlton, the players control 53% of the league, the owners 47%. The owners understood years ago, Charlton, along with the David Stern, the former commissioner, Charlton, that for this league to thrive and to continue to grow and to take on the world, Charlton, because it is a worldwide game, is that the players have to be in the forefront. The beauty of the NBA, Charlton, when you see an NBA owner, he's not holding press conferences after a game.
No.
He's not holding them during the week, Charlton.
No.
He's sitting there as a fan.
As a fan enjoying.
He's appreciating what he has an opportunity to be a part of, Charlton. He's not that NFL owner say, well, I got to stand here next to the coach on the sideline. You know, I got to stand there. You know, he appreciates, he has a box he wants to sit courtside, Charlton. But the commissioners of the NBA recognize that it's the players, Charlton. Owners, yes, they own these teams, Charlton, but it's the players that make the business what it is.
And
ever since the NBA went mainstream, Charlton, in prime time, it was because of the marketing of players. That they put the players in the forefront. They built everything around these players. This is the marquee matchup. And when teams are good, Charlton, you see those teams on television all the time. It's like everybody saying all these top free agents are going to go to New York. The league changed the dynamic of what Madison Square Garden meant, Charlton, by marqueeism. And the marqueeism is of the players, not the arena. The league gravitates to the superstars. And when you have superstars, Charlton, those are the people you put on television. Why? Because that fan that sits at home that can't make it to that arena because it's across country wants to see those fans. You keep them in the spotlight. And so the league recognizes that we do all that we can. You think about when Colin Kaepernick started his stance. It was backed by NBA players, Charlton. For social justice. NBA players got on that bandwagon. Did you get a backlash from Adam Silver and the rest of the owners, Charlton?
No.
They accept what the players do because they know how powerful the players are, Charlton. That at any point, if those NBA players went on strike, Charlton, which they have the power to do, you can't replace them. They're not like bringing in strike basketball players, like strike football players. Because people are not going to buy that ticket, Charlton. You know, the league understood that this is what we have to accommodate. We need to sit down and deal with the players' issues and needs, how they want us to address this as an organization, not individuals, as an organization. That's why you did not get that back cry from NBA players, Charlton, and owners like you did with the NFL. They're like, no, we're in control because white people say they don't like you guys saying this. But when the NBA looks around, Charlton, just like this All-Star game, there's not one white American player playing in the All-Star game on Sunday. Think about that. Think about how powerful that is. So you think that the owners don't recognize that also? There are 3 European white players playing. They were all born in Europe, okay? In the Soviet bloc, in Germany, and Yugoslavia. Charlton, they're not U.S. born. So when you think about owners, they recognize how they're making their money, Charlton. What's making them popular. They do not want to upset the apple cart, literally. So you work with these guys and you deal with what their feelings and their thoughts are, Charlton.
You got Team Giannis, you got Team LeBron. What I love about this game is that it goes back to this players-only broadcast, and a lot of mainstream, they blasted these athletes who are doing, it's called players only, not the A team. It's about having conversation, and I think some people are so anal and so uptight, they can't even have a good time. They take it so serious, realizing...
Charlton, you know why that was?
Why is that?
What did I just tell you that there were none of in this All-Star game? That's, you know, they got to segue into other areas, Charlton. White broadcasters are not going to tell you that. They're not going to tell you there's no white Americans playing in the All-Star game. So they're going to criticize former All-Stars, Charlton. Former black All-Stars, they're going to criticize them. They didn't know, on mainstream broadcast, Charlton, they don't know how to segue into that, to say, you know, there's not a white American basketball player good enough to be an NBA All-Star. Think about that. How are they going to do that on mainstream broadcast, Charlton?
That's a
And
good
who's
point.
paying the advertisers? They don't know how to go in and say that.
Yeah.
They can't sit up legitimately and say that. So what do? They go criticize some former black players,
Yeah.
Charlton, that are retired.
Yep.
They're not going to talk about the current status of the white player in the NBA today, Charlton. Let's jump on the guys who are not playing anymore.
Well, I
Are
hope
they the issue? No.
Yeah, that's a good point, Big C. I hope that we have a great game. I know it will be a great game because it's not just like the people who hate the players only broadcast. I mean, most of the complaints I heard came from mainstream guys, but they didn't get a chance to ask the guys that they were being hated on, do they hate their broadcast, Big C? I mean, you got to listen to both sides, especially when most of the people who are in your broadcast booth look just like you. You don't have a different opinion. But I hope that we have...
It's just like with Protus, Charlton.
Yeah.
Think about this. He's constantly saying, these families were killed by illegal aliens. They had family members killed by illegal aliens. But he's not talking about the number of kids, Charlton, that died from a white person shooting them in schools last year in America. 338 school shootings, Charlton.
Wow.
But we can't make that an issue. Let's talk about, and like I said, no loss of life is a good thing, Charlton.
No.
But let's talk about the illegal aliens that did it, Charlton. If we had a wall, if we had spent $20 million, there's no guarantee those people would have been alive, Charlton.
That's a good point.
And I'm not being flippant on that, Charlton.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that there's no guarantee that any of us are promised tomorrow. But with that wall, Charlton, would it have stopped the 338 school shootings last year? That's my issue.
No, I know.
Let the president tell the American public, we had 338 school shootings in 1 year under my watch.
I'm sure Russ
And I
Limbaugh will
haven't
tell
figured
us.
out how to keep school kids safe yet.
I'm sure we'll hear that from Hannity and Russ Limbaugh, a lot of them good boys. And for people of color, and people might say, well, why are we really talking about this so much? Because it doesn't affect mainstream. I mean, no one really uses you to demonize any group to get a law passed or a bill or a wall built. They don't use white people. If they really wanted to use people who committed crime, they could put pictures of white people up and say, we got to keep them from hurting people because they're the ones with the mass shootings. And it's a fact, and we know that's true, but there's no one to push back on that because media is controlled by mainstream. But for everyone in the universe, if you want to Google the crime that's happening in the United States, at these schools, just Google the profile of the person doing it. POTUS will never talk about that, Big C. Give me your thoughts on this All-Star game and how it's changed from its inception. Remember talking about seeing the NBA Finals back in the late 70s? You had to watch it at midnight. Now the All-Star game is like 3 days of an event, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, and that's what we talk about is how big a spectacle the NBA is, Charlton, is that they try to optimize opportunities for their fans to interact with their players and the league, Charlton. When you have the up-and-coming stars game tonight, Charlton, of the first and second year players in the NBA participating in this game, Charlton, as well as you get celebrities, being teammates with them.
Yeah.
This is bringing in a cross-sector of society, Charlton. You're bringing the entertainment sector in along with the basketball players, Charlton.
Yeah.
What other sport can do that, Charlton, other than the NBA?
They can't.
You can't do that in baseball because who can hit a curveball, Charlton?
And not too many.
Who can hit a fastball from a major league pitcher? You can't, Charlton.
Yeah.
So the NBA has opened its doors to society, Charlton, to show that we are incorporated.
Yeah.
We are here. We are fan-friendly in every way, just like their slogan, fantastic,
Yeah.
Charlton.
Yeah.
That's what NBA is, Charlton, because the fans can come out there and shoot pickup ball with NBA players. You think about doing a shoot-around, Charlton. They invite fans periodically on the court. You can't do that in the NFL, Charlton.
Yeah. I think
You can't have a fan come out there and go up against a lineman or a linebacker.
not safely anyway. No, not safely anyway.
Baseball. I mean, you can't have a fan trying to field a line drive, Charlson, from a major league bat.
Yeah.
Somebody might lose an arm.
But you can't have Bryce Harper's dad pitch to him in an All-Star game, and they can say, "Can he hit? Give him $200 million, Big C. Give Bryce Harper $10 million and let him take it or leave it."
What the NBA does, Charlton, is saying, "Hey, we want you to see us face to face. You're close."
Yeah.
This is the only professional sport, Charlton, that fans can sit within an arm reach of the players.
Yeah.
No other sport you can, Charlton.
Yep.
You can reach out and touch. I mean, ask Joel Embiid when he jumped over Regina King last 2 nights ago in Philadelphia.
She's glad he jumped so high.
almost took the top of her hairdo off. But, you know, as we look at this game, Charlton, how it embraces society, when you look at how they interact with people, Charlton, why can't we get a society that interacts like the NBA players does, Charlton?
Yeah.
They make themselves accessible to people. You know, it's like with all the knock that LeBron James gets, Charlton.
Yeah.
What has LeBron done that's ever been in a negative light?
Nothing.
Nothing, Charlton. As a professional athlete, he's never done anything that's been in the negative light. The only thing that's ever come up about LeBron, Charlton, when he was a senior in high school, and he ended up getting a Hummer.
Yeah.
And they're trying to say, well, it came from some college coach. LeBron never had intention to go into college.
Yeah.
So why would a college buy him a Hummer, Charlton?
Yeah, that's funny,
so
Big C.
When you look at LeBron and as clean a slate as he had in the NBA, why do media always try to beat him down with some negative light? This is the thing I don't understand.
Well, now they try to beat down his agent.
You got a role model of an African-American athlete, of a professional athlete, that does things for kids, does things for his community, that's done things for society.
Yep.
And you can only talk about him in a negative light.
Yeah.
Did Michael Jordan do as much socially as LeBron James has, Charlton?
No.
No. But because LeBron does so much socially, Charlton, and out in public, this is how you try to keep Michael Jordan above him. You try to find some negative kinks with LeBron. You're making up story after story. It's like the boy that cried wolf when you look at the media talking about LeBron James.
Yeah.
Everything that's wrong in the NBA is all LeBron James doing.
No, he's amazing.
You know, as much as he's been above the fray, Charlton, as a professional athlete, they try to create stories to depict him in a negative light.
Yeah. No, they'll keep trying, but they won't find it. I'm really proud of how a lot of young African-American men have really taken this championship opportunity to be champions, and not just in the world of sports, but in business. LeBron James, he brought people that he cared about and gave them opportunity the same way white guys do for their friends, especially a lot of media guys. They know they get a good old boy network treatment. And I think LeBron takes a lot of kickback because he does that too.
Look at all the broadcast networks, Charlton, and look how many guys, kids, work on all these networks because their dads got them in the door.
Yeah.
You know, the mothership has a half dozen nepotism cases that's going on with them, Charlton.
Yeah.
Where the father and the son are working with the networks. And it's gone on for decades, Charlton. He with ABC, CBS, and NBC.
Yeah.
Is that they were hiring the kids because the father worked with the network. Well, we want a package deal here. I need my kid to have an opportunity. Might have been somebody else more qualified, but the kid got in because the dad said, I'm not going to sign with you again unless you bring my kid in. I'll go across to the competitor. But they get the kid a job, Charlton.
Yeah.
And what LeBron did by saying, hey, I can bring these guys along and teach them the corporate world.
Yeah.
And I know who I have.
Yep.
People that are not just there because I'm rich now.
Yeah.
But they're there because they've been with me all along.
Well,
and they're learning as I'm learning.
You know, there's a lot of agents in this business that happen to be mainstream. There are a lot of white guys that the only time they'll see black men is when they show up to recruit them or they want you to sign for their agency, and they'll make it seem like, you know, I got the contacts and I'm the only one that can get you this deal. That's changing. That ship has sailed a long time ago. And I mean, you can do what you want to do if you're looking at somebody getting your money.
Look how much negative vitriol Rich Paul gets, Charlton.
Yeah. Yep.
A black agent.
Yeah.
Who is LeBron's agent, Anthony Davis, and multi-other black athletes he represents.
Yeah.
But you think about what white agent, I mean, think about Scott Boras in baseball.
Yeah.
Does Scott Boras get spoken about negatively, Charlton?
Nope.
From mainstream media? I mean, his two top clients this year, Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, are not signed.
Nope.
Because owners have gotten wise to it, said, we're not going to let Scott Boras hold us ransom.
Let Scott write the check.
All of a sudden, Richie Paul is like a villain.
Yeah.
Because he's a black agent from Clutch Agency that represents all this black NBA talent. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
You know, you never said anything about Scott Burrows over the years from baseball.
No.
He's getting all this money. He gets $100 million for his clients. Wow. What a great super agent. He's called a super agent.
Yeah.
You know, but we don't get that with Rich Paul. He's not called a super agent.
Yeah.
Scott Burrows is a genius. Rich Paul is trying to break up NBA franchises.
Yeah, it's funny. When you mess with the man's money, they got to demonize you somehow, Big C. Speaking of the man's money, the New York Knicks, the hottest team in the NBA. Yeah, I said the hottest team in the NBA at the All-Star break. They're on a one-game winning streak after 18 games losing. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, you got to win that.
Yeah.
Even a broken clock is right twice a day. Okay?
Twice a day at least. I understand. It's all.
And so the New York Knicks snuck into Atlanta last night, Charlton. Scored the first 14 points of the game. I think the Hawks thought they were still in the warm-up at that point. And realized, they were in a deficit.
Yeah.
But, it's good for basketball, Charlton. It's hard to be stuck on 10 wins, Charlton, at the All-Star break. And that's where the Knicks were going into last night's game, stuck on 10 wins.
Yeah.
So they got their 11th victory of the season last night, Charlton, even though they're still the worst record in the NBA.
Yeah.
And everybody says that they're tanking because they want Zion Williams.
Yeah.
Zion Williams is not going to guarantee you 30 NBA wins, Charles.
No, he's not going to guarantee you that.
He's a tremendous talent at the University of Duke. Love the young man athletically and intelligence-wise, Charles. But there hasn't, he's not going to come into the NBA with the talent level that exists now, Charles. And then just look at the power structure of the NBA East.
Yeah.
Look at the top 4 teams out there. Milwaukee, Toronto, Boston, Philadelphia. Tell me which one of those teams that the Knicks are just going to knock out of the race.
Yeah.
Then you got the Nets, Charlton, that are going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Teams are good. One college basketball player doesn't turn it around. Ask the Phoenix Suns.
Well,
they wanted Ayton last year, Charlton, out of University of Arizona.
I understand.
How that worked out? I think they got 14 wins, Charlton.
It's not working out for them at all. But I do want to tell you guys there's going to be a great NBA All-Star game this weekend. I hope that everybody can enjoy it. I know Tiger Woods is back on the links. Hopefully you can enjoy that too. And every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide, follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C, and them good old boys down south. As we always tell you this, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.